Hey guys, I'm Cameron. I'm a marriage therapist and the founder of the Hitched app, the first ever evidence-based personalized blueprint for lifelong marriage. Okay, correctly diagnose the problems together when they arise. So whether there is an issue coming up that it's about a broken rule or just a general sense of uneasiness or dissatisfaction in the relationship, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you're trying to get to the root of the actual problem. So instead of telling your spouse that you're really pissed off that he keeps leaving dirty clothes on the floor or keeps leaving dirty dishes in the sink, think hard about what's actually underlying your frustration with that issue. Because oftentimes what we think might be the problem actually is not the issue at all. It's usually not the fact that someone wore muddy shoes inside or your spouse didn't respond to your text fast enough. It's usually something deeper that makes you so upset. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't care that much since these issues are pretty small. So for example, if you're getting frustrated that your spouse isn't responding to text fast enough, it tends to be something more about feeling respected, feeling appreciated, or just knowing that your spouse is safe, being concerned that something might have happened if you can't predict when they're going to respond or you don't have a way to know if they're actually okay. So digging together into the actual issue is the only way you're going to be able to solve what's actually causing these emotional outbursts or frustration with smaller issues. The best way to get to the root of an issue is to sit down together and do something called empathetic listening, which basically means you take turns talking about the issue. So for example, if your spouse started, your spouse would talk about what she's thinking and why this matters to her. And then you're going to try to summarize what she said as well as you understand it. So you can ask clarifying questions. It's actually a really good idea. So as she's talking, when she stops, ask clarifying questions. Make sure you really understand what she's feeling, what she's thinking, where she's coming from, and then summarize back to her to make sure that you actually understand what she's saying, not just that you believe you understand. And once she tells you, yeah, that's actually exactly what I'm feeling, what I mean, then you guys switch and you will say, okay, but this is how I'm feeling. This is what I've been thinking about. This is why I'm upset right now. And then she'll do the same thing for you. Ask clarifying questions and try to summarize back to you exactly what it is that you are saying, thinking, feeling. In my opinion, this is one of the greatest techniques to come from it. An expert psychotherapist, Carl Rogers, he's really big in the therapy realm. This idea of confirming with your spouse that you actually are on the same page does a couple of things. Number one, it makes sure that you're actually not totally off target, because a lot of the times we think we know what our spouse is upset about and we'll say, yeah, I get it, I know that you're upset about this, but we can be wrong. But if we actually confirm with our spouse what the real problem is and what they're actually feeling, that's not only going to make sure that we're not totally off base, but it's also going to show our spouse that we actually care about what they're saying instead of just caring that they finish talking so that we can start talking. This is a huge skill that really helps every couple I've ever seen effectively implement it. It's helped their conflict resolution tremendously. So if you guys are practicing this empathetic listening, but it's not necessarily working well and you feel like, okay, there's something else here that we need to figure out why we're still struggling and having all these conflicts. Sometimes you actually just need to get to know each other better. Sometimes there can be fundamental differences in, for example, personality or values or life goals or other areas that are contributing to this repeated conflict. If you want to learn more about exactly how to get to know each other more deeply, I'll put a link in the description of this video to another video I made about that exact topic, where I take you through 5 steps of how to figure out these little nuanced differences that are sometimes difficult to detect that can actually lead to a lot of issues in the relationship if you don't know they exist. But if you do know they exist, they can actually strengthen your marriage because you can start addressing things in a complementary way instead of in a competitive or combative way.